Studio City, 1979, my last cook's job. One less time I can say now, I wasn't such a prisoner there as I let people think. One less time, I don't have to believe thinking the opposite impression would matter. I can just relax my ass and remember how the wine from 2 nights before or 2 decades before changed my flow, and that I have one less Mr. Timmy looking over my shoulder while I do prep work on the lettuce and fruit, and one less Lubrici running us around the kitchen because his giant friend who built the tables and booths was chasing one of the Beverly Hillbillies grips in the South Bay. One less time I have to forget for one less minute that I was stumbling after one less than one small piece of my puzzle, and one less paranoid or self-righteous or justifiable suspicion about those that worked there and never acted puzzled. No more trips to Studio City, working 5 nights a week to make it in the pantry of a small continental restaurant. And how was such a place even going to break even, operating as it did upstairs from a men's gymnasium? One less junker I have to drive in over the canyon to work, though I was glad to have that old Plymouth plainclothes cop-looking Belvedere chrome clicking under my work shoes. One less weightlifter after drinking some parsley beet and egg mixture on the deck below where we sat in our break in peace. One less balancing act, getting the right pec to meet up with the left pec, and one less day handling the Cornish hen skeleton my mind was getting deboned down to the equivalent of, and one less talking styled hair and cashmere and tasseled loafers Lubrici, who inherited the whole thing after he failed as a tenor in Bologna and got fed up as a Jesuit monk in my land and then found Frank the Giant in LA. One less session working on squeezing a 25-cent raise out of Mr. Timmy, his backer, once the inheritance had started to dry up. No more slow service in the Chinese palace, really some drinker's hole with painted over windows and the worst slop ever, and I ate it all, sick of eating with Lubrici or the waitresses or the other cooks. Though I was after Patricia, but there was Jody, who was herself fixated on Raul, the busboy musician, third cousin of a shaman from Venezuela. One less field of wild anise on one side where the restaurant banked against the hill. One less fight with Jody while I worked there and we lived together for 5 months. One less pot of long rice smashed and spilled down on the counter. One less guitar lesson for her, which was really a lesson in Venezuelan fucking. One less fake Indian rug we kept under the mattress. The one less Jody lifted and stroked already moist through her hair with the pleasure that is the most precious. No more talks with Patricia, both of us drunk in the car after the weekend shift, hysterical afterwards about her brother raping her for 6 years before she left for an ashram in Florida where you hand over your shoes and your dental records and your money with your application. One less Christmas card from her out of San Rafael, Seattle, Tucson, before she disappeared into the Sea Organization of Scientology. Remember Studio City, the headlights glinting out of the curved road, down to the valley, one less time coming over that canyon with one less look that didn't look right, and one less vinegar jar leaking over the sink, not another missing handle on the freezer door that came off during the day shift and no one could find, and I worked with it missing. Not another night the oil and herbs tan my apron, which is a sign of knowing which oils and which herbs. One less Wednesday smoking in the car before the night shift. One less twilight with its layered diamond leaves. I always thought if it came down to it, I would take off again, go to the seaport of Tampico, and continue that life of drifting around, working my way as a cook on a freighter to the Far East. I thought I could just turn away from the straw through which everything bland and everything functional swallowed my forgettable name. I would stand in Tampico, ready to leave the Gulf of Mexico, the surf dark as burnt fat, and the horrors absurd in their clothes that don't fit them, coming on to me at the dock. And I would drink and eat with them while feeding the skinny dogs prowling around the tables for scraps. And I would admire those dogs because of their persistence, their sharp teeth, their dexterous paws with unclipped nails. And maybe I would see Rafael Escamilla in Tampico, that Indian face of his, more feminine than Vallejo's, which was itself neither male nor female. That face uncomplainingly driven along some high wire without a net. I would like to have seen again Rafael Escamilla with that Indian face the clerk looked at impatiently while he counted out from a roll of singles and fives that would get his last two sisters smuggled into Mexico. Out there in Tampico, where my life would change, I would like to see Rafael, who put the idea of cooking on a ship in my mind, who therefore put Tampico in my mind. Escamilla, whom I always paired with, working weekends, overtime, hustling the waitresses, pointing, hinting, leering at what hung to the middle of his leg. He said he would have worked his way to Indonesia if he had to, cooking on a ship to escape what was happening in Morazan, to escape Los Diablos, to escape the University of the Green Beret and immigration. I would like to have seen Rafael Escamilla again in that moment when he was sending the money back and he was confident. How could a man not be confident who hid in a pile of corpses when the National Guard came busting and poking with rifle butts, cracking two of his ribs, and he lay still, not making a sound? I would like to be there watching him count the money for his sisters. I would kiss his face awkwardly, the way males in my family kiss their brothers or fathers. I would kiss him having thought I would never see him again, glad neither of us ended up in LA for good, as long as it wasn't Morazan or at the Rio Sumpel, but in the seaport of Tampico with our cook's knives wrapped deep in a towel, standing at the dock with the horrors in their tight, audacious clothes, and the skinny dogs I admire for their mindless tenacity, and with Escamilla, as I always see him, confident with that roll of singles and fives, confident as though what he sensed was coming might not come, even though I remind him again, what's coming isn't going to take the least hesitant step from its course. Thank you.